Communities along South Africa's wild coast are once again taking their fight against oil company Shell to the courts, this time to the Constitutional Court. The case challenges government approval for seismic surveys, with campaigners warning that blasting the ocean floor in search of oil and gas poses serious risk to marine life and coastal livelihoods. Anda Nqonji is coming to us live from Gqeberha, where environmental activists are gathered to support the constitutional case. Good afternoon, Anda. So you've spent the better part of this morning with those protesters. Just share with us exactly what are their sentiments in support of this constitutional court case.
Well, very good afternoon to you. As you can see behind me, the coastal residents of the Nelson Mandela Bay have braved the cold and rainy weather to show their support as the case against the government and Shell has finally taken place, or is finally taking place in the Constitutional Court of South Africa. This, of course, after the Department of Minerals and Energy actually approved basically the obstruction of gas and oil in the ocean or in the sea. These residents say that they were never consulted. They say that they are worried about things like the marine life, worried about the ecosystem, and worried about what this actually means for the climate justice. But right now, I'll speak to one of the organizers just to find out what it is exactly that they fear mostly. And also, we did have a conversation earlier on where he spoke about the impact of this on the next generation to come, saying that if this proceeds, then it might risk everybody and not a lot of people will be able to benefit from the ocean in the nearby future. A very good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon to you and good afternoon to the viewers, and once again thank you for this opportunity.
Let's first talk about the community. You know, you have mentioned earlier on that you've been speaking with them, across, and they've been voicing out their fears, and the tensions are quite high.
Yes, indeed, because we are talking about food sovereignty, food security of marginalized communities especially. And these communities are concerned about their livelihoods because they know nothing else than living from this ocean. And we have a right to a clean ocean, and that communities are doing their bread and butter from the oceans. Some of them are fishing for decades, and that has been passed over from their previous generation. And therefore we want to stop multinational companies like Shell and Total that wants to come and destroy our oceans with seismic surveys and drilling our oceans for more oil and gas. We believe that we are in a climate crisis, and this climate crisis demands that countries move away from oil and gas activities. But we see our government keep on pushing for new oil extractive applications in and around our coastal areas. And these communities build their local economies from this beautiful oceans that we have. And then we're also passing that generation on from one generation to the next. So our youth are these ones that are taking on the baton from our elders to do the fishing. But not just the fishing, there's also our indigenous practices that is coming out of the ocean as well. There are many of our cultural activities that's linked to the oceans, that our sangomas are coming here, that our people are coming here for various ceremonies, and we have that connection with the ocean, and that connection cannot be described. We are fearing, and our concern is that the oil and gas extractivism might harm that culture that we have. We also have learned from our brothers in the Niger Delta, in Nigeria, where oil, the very same company Shell, has been, destroying their livelihoods, and fishermen can no longer fish. I've been told by my brother that from Nigeria that they had a culture of fishing vessels that they were doing in seasonal times, and that culture can no longer continue because of what Shell has done there. And we fear that that will be repeated here, and we would say it is unacceptable that the government keeps on approving these multinational companies at the expense of our livelihoods, our people that's dependent, and also climate change that is on our doorstep as well. No longer in our doorstep. We're experiencing, we saw the floods in KZN, we saw the floods in Umtata, very much climate change happening here. And therefore, we have this fear that the government needs to not talk right and walk left, but also be a signatory and do responsible decisions.
And I understand that this case dates quite back as 2023, you know, when there was a case in the Grahamstown High Court, and now moving to the Constitutional High Court. Some of your complaints is that there were no proper consultations conducted. Can you elaborate on that a bit?
Yes, we have a kind of tick box exercises of some of these community participation meetings that happen, and sometimes these meetings does not even respect the livelihoods of the people. Our fishermen is that time out at sea, and they cannot come to have meaningful inputs in those meetings, and it ended up being only a selected few group that was consulted, and those leaders, such as some of the cultural leaders and leaders of the chiefs that were consulted, is not the community. So the community demanded that they needed to be consulted, and they have a right. They have a right to say no, and they've already voiced out their concern. They are concerned about the ecosystems that will be destroyed in the process, as well as our marine life.
Thank you so much. That was one of the organizers actually telling us what the seismic survey means to the coastal community, talking about the implication in culture, in the coastal life, and just in the climate as a whole. Attempts to speak to Shell are currently underway in the backdrop. We are trying by all means to get their side, but right now we will be right here waiting for the development and also to see what happens beyond this case.